Hi, welcome. My name is Meghan O'Rourke. I am here at CCTV, and I am joined today by a couple of folks who are going to share with us some information about T1D, and they have just come back from a journey. I have Catherine Turyamureeba and Sheebah Nabukenya. Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank
Why don't
you
you just tell us a little bit about yourselves and who you are and why you're joining us today.
We're going to start with you.
Me?
Yes.
My name is Sheebah Nabukenya. I'm joining you guys to talk about Breakthrough T1D and type 1 diabetes.
Yeah, so T1D stands for type 1 diabetes. Tell, what is that for folks who don't know? What does that mean?
It's a, I think it's like a disease, autoimmune disease, like when your cells just, like acid kind of kills your cells that build up insulin for you, and it causes you to like be thirsty and really sleepy and really and going to the bathroom constantly. And it's like when you don't have enough insulin cells to just work, and you need to have like insulin or a pump or a Dexcom to watch your sugar to make sure you don't go too high or too low.
Wow. So first of all, I just want to say you're 13 years old, right? If that's okay for me to share. Mm-hmm. And not everybody knows all that information. Mom, what is this like for you to listen to have your kiddo understand so much about how their body functions and this particular?
I mean, every single day it's amazing what we have to learn. I'm still learning as a parent. It's a gray area. I like that when we go to the doctors, they just keep saying, this is a gray area, nobody knows, we don't have a cure. All we know is that the body doesn't make insulin, and we just have to find ways of managing that. And like Sheebah said, highs, lows. But we've learned over time. Sheebah got diagnosed in 2022, so it's been a roller coaster of 3 years, just learning, counting carbs and insulin, and like the fears of when the pump goes off, what does that mean? Like, I have sleepless nights of like, I have to, like any other parent with a T1D, because you don't know what to expect. You just wake up and just sometimes be like, hey, Sheebah, just to make sure everything is good, and then just go back to bed. Yeah.
And have you heard your mother say this before? You're familiar with this. What do you feel like about her worries and concerns?
I don't know. I think I'm also worried myself, so it's like, waking up in the middle of the night because I'm too low or too high, and yeah.
Yeah, well, thanks for sharing that. You're not alone on this journey, right? And you were one of two folks that was chosen as a delegate from Vermont to go to the Breakthrough T1D Congress in Washington, D.C. You just got back today.
Today,
which is kind of amazing. How were you chosen to be part of this delegation?
I'm going to take that one. I'm the one that applied for the Congress. So
you nominated your daughter.
You apply, and there's like thousands of applications, and you're just, I want to say lucky, because you write stuff about yourself, and I guess some people read it and they're like, okay, this is going to be our candidate. This is the person who's going to tell their story, and this story will, I believe, maybe bring the funding that they're looking for.
Yeah, so you had to did you want to say more on that? Application process? How did you feel about your mom applying on your behalf?
I didn't know that we applied to be there, so.
Yeah. Well, you went. You're representing Vermont. You're there to tell your story, and as your mother says, to encourage funding for more research around type 1 diabetes. So what is the Breakthrough Type 1 Diabetes Conference? What is Breakthrough T1D? What happened there?
It's just a little it's just like a come together of all the people and all the kids who have diabetes to just talk to the people like senators and representatives to help them fund for things that help with searching for cures and finding cures for type 1 diabetes.
Did you get to meet with the Vermont congressional delegation, any of our folks? Oh, look, we're here. We've got a picture up here. Is this meeting with Becca Balance representatives?
Becca Balance representatives. We unfortunately didn't meet any of them. I think they're out for the week, but we met their staff, which is amazing. Very, young, dedicated group of people who see things the way we wish them to see them. I personally think, coming from the state of Vermont, we're very lucky because people get it. They actually are big supporters of the SDP, funding and just trying to find.
Tell us what SDP funding is.
That is the Special Diabetes Program.
Okay.
That is, just looking for monies to make sure that the ultimate goal is to find a cure, but also support things like lowering insulin costs and like making sure it's affordable and available for everyone and all those things that come together, the research that comes together to do that.
So you were there with kids from around the country. Did you learn some things from those kids? What was it like to meet with all these folks from all around the country?
It was nice. Everyone was so sweet, and we all had one thing in common. We all had diabetes, so it was pretty fun.
Did you compare your technology, compare your stories, or were you having fun in DC? Both of those things.
Well, a lot of people had different things. Like some people had pumps, some people had Omnipods. So it was just fun to see everyone's different glucose monitors.
Neat, that's cool. There was something that you brought here to the studio, kind of a special announcement that happened. Do you want to share with folks about that?
Sure.
This is kind of a neat, and maybe why is this important? I don't know if folks can see, and maybe you can see that there. You can see this is a Barbie with a glucose monitor and a pump right on her arm. Is that right? Tell us about that. Tell us, was this released at the conference?
Yeah, it was released at the conference, and then they actually released it an hour after. And, everyone was just really excited. So, yeah, it was something big. So it was really fun, and a lot of people really liked it.
Yeah, and why is it important to normalize the use of this technology, make people comfortable with it, aware of it? Why is that helpful for you?
So more people know a lot about it, and so there's not just normal Barbie dolls who are just out there and have nothing or have just different jobs. There's also one with diabetes, so everyone can know about it and what it is and how it works.
Yeah. What's this like for you, Mom?
Oh, I'm a little. I was so excited. I was like, and the way they presented it is, first of all, Barbie as a brand is a big brand, so it's very good when it comes to advocacy and just speaking about this disease, because in the last 3 years, just as you may not have known, sometimes kids are really shy and they don't want to show their palms. When the palms beep, they don't want things like monitors to be seen, and I believe this is a perfect way of telling them that this is cool. It's a thing that can happen to anyone. I mean, Barbie has it, something like that.
I've heard it been said, and this is one of those, this may not come across right, but that being diagnosed with a chronic illness at a young age means you're going to end up learning a lot about yourself, which can be a gift. It also can be a challenge. What are the kinds of things that you've been learning over the last 3 years that you would say you have welcomed learning about yourself, learning about getting to know yourself in a way that a lot of other kids don't have to and also don't get to?
I think with type 1 diabetes, responsibility is a big thing that everyone learns, watching after what you eat and making sure you count for what you eat, and like waking up when you're low in the middle of the night, like taking care of yourself, and honesty, like making sure if you're low, you could, like if you're at a young age, you could tell your mom and like keep like, oh, I'm low, just to get some help.
So being able to ask for help and advocate for yourself. How about you?
For me, as a parent, I've learned a lot. It is just not taking things for granted. I will just, kind of go back to how she got diagnosed. She was, we were planning a trip to New York. We were very excited. But along the way, a friend of mine kept saying, my God, something is odd about your kid. She's so thirsty. She's peeing. And I was a full-time working mom who was like, no, I think she's just a kid.
You have a bunch of siblings,
Yeah,
right? So,
three, single mom. You have to work 24 hours a day, if I must say. And so I ignored all those small signs. And I noticed just going and learning and reading all the stories from the kids that submitted. My story is not different. Most parents have had to find out the hard way. We just went to New York for a vacation, and before we know it, we're in the biggest hospital for 4 nights, needles, pumps, life-threatening conditions, and we could have missed it. It could have been bad. And so these days, I don't take things for granted. I'm just like more aware. I'm like more keen. I'm curious, like learning numbers, foods, how many carbs are in there. And then just educating people, because every time you say type 1 diabetes, people quickly jump at you with, change your diet. You're too overweight. And I'm like, you cannot believe how many people are clueless about what it means. So I'm constantly educating people and educating myself as well.
Yeah, what are some of the misconceptions that you might want folks to know about? What are some of the things that you hear from folks that you're willing to share?
I mean, overweight, diet, you're eating the wrong food. I constantly have to tell people, this is a kid, she's 13. I can't cut carbs out of her. I get this from the doctors. You cannot take carbs out of her diet.
Yep.
She still needs them to grow. So like you can't take some foods out. All you have to do is just follow it with insulin. So like I would like people to not quickly judge. Educate yourself. Learn a little more about something before, you kind of quickly comment about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you would like folks to know?
It doesn't make anyone any different from everyone else. We're all the same. It's just like one little thing that's just making us a little different. So
yeah. Let's go back to DC a little bit. So you met with some of the reps from the congressional delegation. You're hoping for more funding for research to bring a cure about. What are some of the other things that you want folks in DC to be doing in terms of the advocacy? Like, what are you advocating for?
So for me particularly, I'm not only interested in finding a cure, because, like any other mother, you don't want to have a kid who has to, much as this is technology, it's amazing, it's helping us. But a child at 13 who has to have a pump, a Descom, and all these other gadgets on them every single day is not cool. As in, if we could find a cure where one day we have to put all these things aside, that would be amazing. But just most importantly, aside from all our differences, this is a real disease, and people really need to know that. And if things like insulin are not available, people can die. And we need to know that.
This is not a choice.
This is
not
not
a
a choice.
lifestyle disorder. This is not a behavioral issue. Behavioral health can help with it, but it's a an
real
illness.
thing. It's a death at the end of it if we don't prevent, if we don't cure, or if we don't, kind of use things like insulin.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being a delegate. Did you get to have some fun in DC? Did you get to do some other fun stuff while you were there?
Yeah, we went to the Museum of Illusions, which was really fun.
Is that magic?
It's like these kind of like little rooms or like little things that are just like, I don't know how to explain it, but like just there's this one room. It's just like the circle thing that spins in circles. It kind of makes you feel like you're spinning in circles, but
Yeah.
you're not.
Fantastic. Was that your first time to go to DC?
No.
No. So you've been there.
It's actually our second time. The first time we were supposed to be going for tree lighting last year. We actually did go, but it's funny, two different types of weather. There was that time, it was extremely cold. Her youngest sister had won, so they did a painting, and that painting was one of the trees in the White House garden. So we were supposed to go there as the artists. We did get there, but it was extremely cold. And it's funny, speaking this, when you're from Vermont, we braved it a little, but after some time, we're like, okay, we need to go. It's so cold.
So, but you're a family of advocates and connections to the DC area. That's cool. You know, you mentioned folks learning more. Are there resources that you recommend? Are there resources that you recommend? Are there for all ages? How would you encourage folks to learn more about type 1 diabetes?
Just doing like a little bit of research and like kind of like if you find someone with type 1 diabetes, so you know what you're talking about. I mean, you don't have to know everything. Like, you don't have to know it's an autoimmune disease. You just have to know like, oh, they carry a pump, or they have to wear a Dexcom every day.
I would say Instagram, social media for the young ones, you know, it's a good place to go. Breakthrough T1D does a lot of advocacy, and we do hope to continue advocating with them because, I mean, they've gone above and beyond on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, X, like just to try and reach out to people and tell them this is a real thing. But also just speaking, if you have a family member, and I believe this really strongly, that you know has type 1 diabetes, be curious because it's not easy. Support them. Have the smallest things like a pack of gummy bears could be life-saving, you know, an apple juice. Just be a supporting, you know, factor for that family member.
Great. Anything more that you all want to add to this conversation? Any last parting words of wisdom? If somebody has just found out that they or somebody they love has type 1 diabetes, or they're suspecting something, what would you tell them they have to look forward to in the next years of their journey?
Just like ups and downs, and like just like don't think you're any different from anyone else, and like have fun. You can still do anything you'd like to do.
Great. Thanks.
For me, it would be a lot of research is being done. There's hope for a cure. So don't give up any hope. Just remember that someone is working so hard somewhere to find you a permanent solution.
Great. Thank you both for joining us. Thanks for being a delegate, and thanks for coming in right off the plane from DC, Sheebah and Catherine, and thank you all for watching. Again, if you want more information, you could look up the Breakthrough T1D community and find out more about type 1 diabetes as an illness and what's being done about it.
Thank you.